Okay, testing the audio, making sure everything is in working order here. Okay, testing the audio, making sure everything is in working order here. Okay, testing the audio, making sure everything is in working order here. Okay, short test here. I think we're good to go. Hi students, Tim back here from Lessons on the Web, and in today's Chord Trainer video we are doing cadence patterns. So this is at the bottom of the Chord Trainer 0 PDF, so take a look at it there. And cadence patterns are essentially patterns that are commonly found in music. And you want to go through and you want to learn about one of these a day until you learn them all. Hold on a second. Really seems familiar to me. So hold on a second, everybody. Sorry about this. Oh, excuse me. Okay, just hold on a minute, please. Okay everybody, today we are doing a note trainer lesson. So basically I'm going to write out some note patterns that we're going to read through together. Before watching this video, I assume you know how to read music, or the basics of it anyway, already knowing how to find notes on the lines and spaces. So we're just going to work out a few patterns, and I'm going to talk you through them and walk you through them as well. So let's get started here. So we're just going to start with these first four notes. The first thing you want to do to make this easy is determine what the bottom note is. So it's the first space of the treble clef, and it's F, right? Now you can go through and use the mnemonic devices, you know, the every good boy deserves fudge face and all that other stuff, but you can also use other techniques. So if you have the F, right, you see how it alternates here from space to line to space to line? Well, that means that those notes, if they're space to line, are really close together, those notes are right in a row. So you can actually read the first note, and you know, just judging by the spacing, you can determine that the notes are F, G, A, B. So you can use that little shortcut. Now, what if they do this? See how they're now going from space to space to space to space? Well, the bottom note is still F, right? Well, here's F, and then you're actually going to skip every other note. F, A, C, and then E. See how there's a white key in between each of the notes. So those are what we call skips. The other one, when they're all in a row, are called steps. Okay, so here we go. Let's try another pattern. So right away, let me make sure I got this pattern right the way I wanted. Okay, you see how the top note is right off the staff? Well, if you don't know where that is, you want to find the closest note you do know, which is probably the F right below it, right here. So if that's F, this one, the very next note has to be G. And then you see how the first three notes go from space to space to space? Well, you start at the G, and then you skip to E, skip to C, just like before. But the very last one is B, and that's because it's the very next line below that space. So remember, if it goes line, space, it's stepping. But if it's going from space to space to space, it's skipping. Just like that. So always be aware of, you know, not only reading the individual notes, but how the notes are moving as well. Okay, here we have the next example. We have let me get this playback line out of our way. So we have a chord down with our left hand while we're playing. You know, those notes are evenly stacked, by the way. You see how it's space, space, space all at the same time? So that's going to be a C major chord like that. And then you have the E, the bottom line there. And you see how the first two notes in the right hand skip. They go from line to line. But the next two only step, because it's going from line to space, the very next one. And then there's a little bit of a leap here from A, A, and then actually, since we read that note already before, you know that that's E. So fitting in notes that you do know from before is also another good tactic. So say you just read like a G, and then you had an F, and then back to a G. Well, you know if it's on the same line as the note before, that's going to be the same letter note as well. So that's just another little tip for you when you're reading music. Let's go on to another example. Okay, so here we have bottom F. We read that one before, so hopefully you remember that. And then the top line, you know that's a pretty big leap there. Actually, if you ever see something that's really far apart and the bottom one's a space and the top one's a line, or vice versa, the bottom one is a line, the top one is a space. Let me move back to where we were, a space and then line. And if they're really far apart, chances are, 99% of the time, that it's going to be an octave. So from F to F. And then as you can see, The next one, they're far apart, but these two are line to line, so it can't be an octave. Whenever you see that, that's a seventh, actually. So that's just an octave minus 1. So it goes. And then as you can see, that this distance between this note and this note, there's still a pretty big distance there. But as you can see, the first one's on a line, and then you have a line in between that we don't use, and then this line. So if it's going from line, the next line's empty, and then the next line, that's always a fifth, 5 notes away. So you can go from G and know that the next one is D. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just like that. Okay, one more for today. We're going to do maybe a little left hand one instead. So what are these 4 notes? Well, I suggest you figure out, eventually you'll get so good at this that you'll just know what they are, like E, G, D, C. I'm going to do it right away what those were. I didn't even really have to think about it too much. But you have the E first, right? The third space of the bass clef. And then you see it goes from space to space here, right there. Well, then they're skipping, and then there's a little bit of a leap there from G to D. And then the very next one just steps down. So the point of today's lesson, other than the practice note reading, was just to get across that not only should you be using your individual note reading skills, like determining what line or space it's on and then going from there, you should also be looking at how far apart the notes are away from each other. These are called intervals, and they're very, very important. I have a YouTube video on the channel, youtube.com/user/lessonsontheweb, the Lessons on the Web YouTube channel, where it's called How to Read Music Faster Using Intervals. I highly suggest you check out that lesson. Totally free, of course, because it's on the YouTube channel. So I really recommend you check that out. But that's all I have for today for today's trainer. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next lesson.